Before we dive into these scary stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy true horror content every week. I always thought Snapchat was just for fun. A quick photo, a quirky caption, and it disappeared forever. Simple. But after what happened last week, I don't think I'll ever open the app again. It all started on a quiet Saturday night. I was sprawled out on my bed, scrolling through TikTok, when my phone buzzed with a notification. It was from a classmate, Alex. The snap's caption caught my eye immediately. "Help me." The photo itself wasn't much to go on, a blurry shot of what looked like a dark forest with trees looming in the moonlight. My stomach twisted as I stared at it. I hadn't heard from Alex in weeks. Rumor had it he'd dropped out of school, but no one seemed to know why. I sent him a message. "Alex, where are you? Are you okay?" No response. A few minutes later, another snap came through. This one was clearer. It showed a pair of sneakers, mud-caked and half-buried in leaves, with the caption, "I'm stuck." I sat up straight. This was starting to freak me out. Something wasn't right. Alex and I weren't close, but I couldn't ignore this. I quickly screenshotted the snap, just in case. I messaged him again. "What do you mean? Are you lost? Should I call someone?" No reply. For the next half hour, I stared at my phone, waiting for something. Then, another snap arrived. This one chilled me to my core. It was a photo of my house, taken from the street. The caption read, "You're next." My throat went dry. I leapt off my bed and rushed to the window, yanking the curtains aside. The street outside was empty, as you'd expect at a late hour. I wanted to get to the bottom of this, so I dialed Alex's number, but it went straight to voicemail. I was about to call my parents when another snap came through. It was a video. The clip started with the same dark forest from before. The faint sound of twigs snapping underfoot was the only thing that could be heard. Suddenly, the camera panned around to reveal a figure standing in the distance. It was me. I froze. The video showed me standing in the middle of the woods with my back to the camera, wearing the exact same clothes I had on at that moment of seeing it. I dropped my phone. This had to be some kind of sick joke, right? How was this possible? My room suddenly felt too quiet. I grabbed my phone off the floor and started locking all the doors and windows. Then came the final snap. It was another video. The camera was focused on a window. My bedroom window. The person filming was outside looking in. And there I was, on the screen, staring down at my phone in real time. The caption read, "Look up." I didn't want to. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run, to hide, but I couldn't. My eyes moved up to the window. There, pressed against the glass, was a face. It wasn't Alex. The features were distorted, almost animal-like. It was just watching me, its breath fogging up the glass. I stumbled back, tripping over my own feet. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The lights flickered and the room plunged into darkness. I fumbled for my phone. That was the only source of light now, and tried to call for help. But when I unlocked the phone, I had no signal. Then another notification popped up. New snap from Alex. I didn't open it. Instead, I ran, down the stairs, and into the night. I didn't stop running until I reached a neighbor's house and pounded on the door, screaming for help. The police searched the area, but they found nothing. No sign of anyone outside my window. No evidence of Alex in the woods. They told me it was probably a prank or someone trying to scare me. The screenshot I took earlier wasn't of much help either. A week has passed, but I still don't feel safe. Every time I close my eyes, I see that face at the window. And every time my phone buzzes, I'm terrified it'll be another snap from Alex. But the worst part? Last night, while scrolling through my old photos, I found one I didn't take. It was a blurry shot of the woods, with a caption that simply read, "See you soon." It was a lazy Saturday afternoon, and I'd already scrolled through every social media feed twice. My homework sat untouched on the desk, mocking me, but being a typical teenager, I wasn't in the mood for it. Instead, I opened Snapchat. As I swiped through my stories, I noticed a little red number in the corner of the screen. 56 pending friend requests. I usually ignored them. Most were random people I didn't recognize, probably bots or friends of friends I'd never actually met. But that day, curiosity got the better of me. Why not? I muttered to myself and began scrolling through the requests. Some usernames were familiar, classmates I vaguely remembered from middle school or people I'd met at parties. Others were completely random. One username caught my eye, Countdown 13. It was simple, yet oddly intriguing. I figured it was someone trying to be edgy or mysterious, so I added them along with a few others. I didn't think much of it after that and went back to mindlessly swiping through stories. Later that night, I got my first snap from Countdown 13. It was a blank screen with a single line of text. 10. I furrowed my brow, confused. I replied with a simple, "What?" They opened my message but didn't reply. Shrugging it off, I figured it was someone trying to mess with me and went back to watching YouTube videos. The next day, I got another snap from them. This time, it was a photo of a dark, empty room. In the center of the frame was a glowing red clock showing the time, 9 o'clock. Below it, they'd written, 9. A chill ran down my spine. Was this connected to their first message? I typed back, "What's with the numbers?" Again, no response. The snaps continued over the next few days, each one counting down. The photos were always unsettling. An abandoned parking lot, a dimly lit staircase, a cracked mirror. The messages were always short and cryptic. 8, 7, 6. By this point, I was officially freaked out. I told my friends about it, but they laughed it off, saying it was probably just a troll or someone trying to scare me. Maya, my best friend, even suggested blocking them. "Just delete them," she said. "Why are you letting this get to you?" But I couldn't bring myself to do it. Something about the snaps felt personal, like they were meant specifically for me. The snaps only got worse. When the countdown hit 5, the photo was of a house really close to mine. It was taken at night. The houses around were barely visible under the glow of the streetlights. My stomach twisted. I sent them a message. "Who are you? Why are you sending me this?" They didn't reply, but the next snap came faster than usual. 4. This time, it was a photo of my front porch. I started crying. I was getting really afraid. I rushed out to lock all the doors and windows, pacing around the house with my phone in hand. My parents were out of town for the weekend, and I was alone. I wanted to call someone, but what would I say? That some random Snapchat account was sending me creepy pictures? The next snap came an hour later. 3. It was a picture of my living room. My living room. I froze, my heart hammering in my chest, and the tears came back. I was upstairs, and the living room lights were off, just like in the photo. Whoever this was, they were inside my house. I didn't respond. I grabbed a baseball bat from my closet and locked myself in my bedroom. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I tried calling 911, but the line was busy. Then came the next snap. 2. It was a picture of my bedroom door. My vision blurred as tears filled my eyes. I pressed myself against the wall, holding the bat tightly. Whoever was doing this was right outside my door. I waited, holding my breath, expecting the door to open at any second. But instead, I heard footsteps retreating down the hall. Then silence. My phone buzzed again. 1. It was a photo of my backyard taken from outside. I didn't understand. How had they gotten outside so fast? That's when I noticed the figure in the photo. It was faint, standing in the shadows near the tree line. A tall, thin silhouette with glowing eyes that stared directly into the camera. I dropped my phone, too terrified to move. The final snap came minutes later. 0. It was a video this time. The camera was moving through the woods, shaky and erratic. The audio crackled with whispers and distorted breathing. The video ended abruptly. cutting to black. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in the corner of my room gripping the bat until morning. When my parents came home the next day, I told them everything, but they didn't take me seriously. After this experience, I deleted Snapchat and changed my number. I got bored one evening and decided to check Snapchat. The sun had already set, and I was in my room lying on my bed with the glow of my phone lighting up the dark room. I wasn't really talking to anyone, just mindlessly sending snap streaks and so on. Eventually, I tapped on Snap Map to see what my friends were up to. That's when I noticed something weird. There was a Bitmoji on my Snap Map that I didn't recognize. It was positioned not far from my house, maybe a mile or two away. The username didn't ring any bells either. Its name was Just Watching. I frowned, confused. I didn't remember adding anyone with that username, but I shrugged it off. Maybe it was someone I'd met at school or through a friend and just forgot about. It happens. The Bitmoji wasn't doing anything, it was just standing there on the map. I zoomed in out of curiosity, trying to figure out where exactly they were. From what I could tell, they were near an old shopping plaza that was mostly abandoned. Weird, I thought. I decided to ignore it and went back to watching TikToks, forgetting about the whole thing. A few hours later, I checked Snap Map again, mostly out of boredom, but now the Bitmoji had moved. It was closer. It wasn't much, maybe a block or two, but the fact that it had moved at all caught my attention. I stared at the screen, a strange uneasiness creeping over me. Maybe they're just out for a walk or something, I said to myself. Still, I felt unsettled. I opened my friends list and tried to figure out how this person was even on my Snap Map in the first place. I scrolled through my list but couldn't find their username anywhere. That didn't make sense. If they were on my map, they had to be on my friends list. Annoyed, I went back to Snap Map and clicked on their Bitmoji. I tried to remove them as a friend, but every time I tapped the remove button, nothing happened. The app would freeze for a second, then go back to the map like I hadn't done anything. Great. Snapchat's glitching, I muttered, rolling my eyes. I decided to let it go for the night and went back to scrolling through my phone. But a couple of hours later, when I checked Snap Map again, the Bitmoji had moved even closer. It was just a few blocks away now. A cold wave of fear washed over me. It wasn't like I lived in a busy neighborhood. My street was quiet and tucked away from the main roads. Hardly anyone passed through unless they lived here or were visiting someone. I stared at the screen. Who was this person? Why were they getting closer? I opened their profile again and tried to block them this time. But just like before, nothing happened. The app wouldn't let me remove them. Frustrated and a little freaked out, I shut off my phone and tossed it onto my nightstand. Forget it, I said to myself, trying to calm down. It's probably just a bug. I turned off the lights and crawled under my blanket, determined to get some sleep. But as I lay there in the dark, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling creeping over me. Every little noise outside my window made me jump. Finally, unable to resist, I grabbed my phone again and opened Snap Map. My heart dropped. The Bitmoji was now directly on my street. I sat up in bed, my heart pounded as I stared at the screen. The username was still the same. Just Watching. The figure hadn't moved from its spot for a few minutes. I tried to delete the app entirely, but my phone froze, refusing to cooperate. I restarted it, hoping that would fix whatever was going on, but as soon as I reopened Snap Map, the Bitmoji was still there. Suddenly, there was a knock on my window. I froze. The knock came again, louder. My curtains were drawn, but the faint glow of the streetlight outside cast a shadow against the fabric. A man's silhouette stood just beyond the window, motionless. My breath caught in my throat. I wanted to scream, but fear paralyzed me. I gripped my phone tightly. Who was he? How had he found me? Hello? I called out weakly. The shadow didn't move. Finally, the fear became too much and I screamed as loud as I could. Within seconds, I heard my parents rushing down the hall. My dad burst into the room, flipping on the light. "What's going on?" he yelled. I pointed to the window. "There's someone out there." My dad pulled back the curtain, but there was nothing there. The yard was empty and the street was eerily quiet. He opened the window and leaned out, looking around, but there was no sign of anyone. "You must have imagined it," he said, trying to reassure me. But I knew what I'd seen. I picked up my phone and wanted to show them the creepy Bitmoji on SnapMap, but it was gone. It never appeared again, and I never had any other creepy encounters like it. It still freaks me out when I think about it. Who was he and what did he want?